I am re-recording just because I don't know. All right, everybody. So the topic of today, the topic of the week is misunderstanding. What type of misunderstanding I'm talking about? I'm talking about misunderstanding that related to religiousness. Why I probably have some triggers on why I want to talk about like the misunderstanding religious related. And so let me tell you the background story, right? So I was during my high school and junior high school, I was in a boarding school and very strict, especially when it comes to like religious value. And and girls are separated. We're not allowed to encounter each other even at the holidays. We basically, literally, it's haram to meet one another even it's holiday. Otherwise, if you get caught, you're gonna get this one of the highest punishment there, which is for boys. They're gonna shave your head and all this thing, but for the girls, they're gonna wear this huge hijab, which half red, with a different color. Here's is like a bright red and here bright yellow, and it's super huge, and you need to use it a whole week. And before that, you need to get through the interrogations where you need to squat for hours. And after the interrogations, you will get this numbness in your feet. You cannot move it very well. It's weird. And then after the interrogation, if you are uh, guilty, you will your name will be announced loudly in the speaker of a school, like uh to be punished. You know what I mean? So you will need to stand in the middle of the school, like in the field or something, in afternoon, and it's Indonesian, so you know how hot it is in afternoon, like at 12 a.m. or something, 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. And then you need to sometimes face up to the sun. So basically tanning, but this ones you got punished and all these things, with everybody around you telling you that you're a bad person or something. So whatever. So that is the rule, and obviously you're gonna create social construct. What the fuck is social construct? Social construct is basically like a stereotypes. You know what society believe bad or good. You know what I mean? So the whole society believe in that value, which actually not necessarily true. That's you know it's probably not true, and nobody's realized that because they always done it that way. And basically, people try to make an excuse to something like that. With we always done it this way. Is it mean it's the right thing to do? I don't think so. It is. So why I'm a biggest hater of this rule? Because first, what is the fucking purpose? I know that in my religious, it's we prevent like communications with between men and women which not married or something like that, but we're not living in a war again. We didn't live in that era anymore, it's 2025. It's not even 2025 back in the day. I mean, like 2019 or something like that. After we graduate from school, we cannot avoid the fact that we're gonna encounter boys and girl. You know what I mean? Like that's so normal nowadays. Now, instead of try to convince people to avoid it, you need to teach them how to face that shit, especially when it comes to like relationship. What should you do so you're not feel like you're dumb or lose yourself completely, drown in it, whatever. So, all this thing. What is the requirements of a woman before they getting married? What to consider? All this thing it more makes sense than you have to like telling people how to avoid them. So they. I just didn't get at the point of it because like the students not allowed to meet one another, but then teachers allowed to meet one another. Make it fucking sense. What the fuck is the point? You know what I mean? So that doesn't make sense. But also create like a social construct. What I told you before. So basically, when you do that, encounter this boy and a girl shit during the holidays, and you got caught, you got da da da. It obviously you considered a bad person. You considered very sinful and probably just make you feel like you're some type of slut. I'm not gonna lie, because that's what I felt. You know what I mean? Because that what our society constructed to be. So we understand now how people see someone when they got punished or something like that. I am a bad person. I'm dirty and everything. So that happened to me. That happened to me. I encountered these boys, which is not my lover. They are my friends. Never been in a relationship. But you know what? Like, we're teenagers. I'm probably 16, 17 years old. What 17 years old people do? Fucking fall in love and have a crush, right? But I didn't even have a fucking relationship. I just hanging out with my friends, running away. Oh my god, what a time to be alive. But the way that people perceive it, now they perceive it differently because I got caught and you're not. I gonna be painted bad, you're not. You know what I mean? Even though you forget the fact that I actually don't have a fucking relationship ever. You know what I mean? So I still painted as bad. And also because I'm still very young, that also affect me on how I perceive myself. And I keep thinking like, why are you so misunderstanding about me? Why you think that I'm a bitch? Why you think that I am bad person because I did this and do that? But what about like I'm being kind to friends? You know what I mean? But I didn't understand the whole concept of that. So I just came to the conclusion where okay, I am a bad person. So that's why like spirituality, I'm very fragile at that moment because everybody painted me as a bad person. Then I need to prove them wrong, but I don't know how. So every time, except we pray 5 times a day, and I will like beat myself up over something like if I late to my prayers, even just like 1 minute or 5 minutes, or whatever. I gonna beat myself up with that. I'm gonna think like I'm a bad person. I'm gonna think I'm a whore. I'm gonna think, all these things. I keep beating myself up on something that it's not perfect when actually human making mistakes and forget, you know, we're very forgetful and mistakeful, you know what I mean? So I try to not become a human at that moment, and I keep beating myself up over tiny little mistakes because I try to prove them wrong. But and then I realized that it's not how it's supposed to be. Religion should be being foundations, like being a home for me. I need to feel peace around it. I don't want to driven by the fears around it. You know what I mean? So, and I know if I got into deeper level and if I got to know the God that I worship, I think we it's very flexible. You don't have to be perfect. Even if you're probably, let's say, you're traveling across the world, you don't have to pray on time. Like there's a valid rules about it. Or if you're under the sea, you can pray whenever you want, whatever the conditions. There is no something strict rules about that, and very flexible and very easy. It's supposed to be feel that easy. And at the moment I felt like it is a burden and I'm not being myself anymore. I'm trying to perform it to others. I need to like show it to them that I'm not a fucking whore, all these things. But this takes time for me to realize. Until now I really do not care. So what I'm trying to say is that okay, misunderstanding, that type of misunderstanding, it's quite triggering. And now I couldn't be more angry when somebody misunderstanding me, especially when it comes to like religiously. Like what example? So what recently happened is that so I was living in Bali for 3 months, and then I went for dinner with a few of my friends, and like it's type of restaurant where it has a bar in it, right? I don't know, but I don't think it's a club. It's just like a bar. I feel like, but people dancing there, so I don't know why. Yeah, whatever. I went dinner with a few of my friends from around the world. There's from Canada, U.S., French, UK, whatever. All people around the world, and we went there, and I met someone so cool. He is a football player in Indonesia, which is making him a little bit famous in Indonesia. So I really want to show off to my Instagram. Oh my god, I met this cool fucking person. That's why I want to upload it on my Instagram account. Like, guess who I met here? You know what I mean? And then Maybe some of you all know this man. I literally have dinner with him, you know what I mean? And so I posted it on Instagram and somebody just commented on it like, please don't drink like alcohol. And I was like, what the fuck did he think? Why? I have zero intentions. I from that explanations of me, my relationship with religious misunderstanding, whatever. Now she commented like that. It pissed me off so badly. Like, what made you think that a place for a drink? And you do understand that the person that I'm with in that picture is not in the nations. So you cannot just tie them up with value that your value here in Asia because it's different. Do you not get that? Like I just find it really stupid and very uneducated, like super hypocritical if someone's ever misunderstand people like that. Because I then I when I it, oh my god when somebody's comment that I will try to like prove myself that I'm not drinking, and it's like breaking you. Oh my god, really? It's not what you think. I'm never drinking. I'm just here. I can say all this thing, right? But why do I need to explain it to you? That would make me piss me off. I could say to her like, "What make you think I'm fucking drinking?" And like I can say like, "Oh my god, really? I'm not drinking. I'm just with a bunch of these foreigners, and we have dinner." And I just put it on my Instagram because I thought he was cool. And then like what I meant to hear them is just like having fun with a few of my friends, and I try to respect them if they're drinking. And trust me, I'm not drinking. I'm just like there. You know what I mean? I could have just explained it to her like that so we don't have misunderstanding. But then why would I need to explain it to you? What the fuck is your business? You know what I mean? Why do you care so much about me, whether I'm drinking or not? Why does it even matter to you? And not to mention that you're fucking stupid. Can you see that's foreigners? And they might not come from the same place from you. And why try to paint me as that? Or you're just jealous because I have a better life and you try to make yourself feel better about yourself. I don't know. But that very disrespectful, and I should have been said fuck you, but at the moment I know that I'm not gonna be friends with her anymore, like ever. But like because that's so disrespectful, and then I told that to one of my friends, right? Oh my god, she commented on my Instagram post like this, thinking that I was drinking, and I said to her like, what does it matter if I drinking or not to them? And then the person that I'm telling to, she said like, are you drinking? And I was like, God damn, you didn't get the point. It's none of your business. It, I'm not drinking. Trust me, that. Oh my God. Again, I could have explained it to you like, oh my God, I'm not even drinking. No way, I'm not drinking. I literally watched them drinking, and so what? I'm trying to respect that. You know what I mean? Again, it gives me the. You know what I mean? Like, why do I need to explain it to you? That doesn't make sense at all. Why are you care so much? Yeah, that just doesn't add up for me, and that's my biggest pet peeve ever. And I found that person who misunderstand me, understanding like that, very very ew, like ew, ew, ew. I don't want to associate with you. I don't want to be friends with you. That's the last time I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing, because you're not ready for the conversations next. You know what I mean? You're not ready for a bigger life if you're. I don't know. Fuck it. Yeah. Um. Yes, and that is what it is. And then the other, I think I've got misunderstood a lot, and there's something that triggered. Let me think. I'm gonna pause it a little bit. Okay, so I was doing this volunteering project with a friend of mine, not a friend of mine, just strangers, but we came from a same university. There are 12 people right there, and we live together in one house. And obviously, I didn't use a hijab every fucking time because, like, I found it. Why would I do this? You know, I mean, Okay, here's the thing. I don't want to fake my faith, right? I'm not perfect. I'm trying to embrace that. That's it. I am right now. I didn't use the hijab, and probably if people from my high school, whatever, seeing me like this, they're gonna think I'm a whore. Hi, but I don't think it measured that way. It's so much more than that. I measured you as a good person if you can treat somebody equally, like you know what I mean. And then so that way, whatever. So in the house, we're living together as a 12. There are 12 people right there. There's a boy and girls. I don't give a fuck. Just take off my hijab, and then when I go out, I'm using my hijab. All the thing, right? And then yeah, whatever. So most of my friends there are also, I think, almost all of them. Yeah, yeah, almost all of them using hijab too. And in that inside of the house, they keep wearing it because there's the boys there, right? But I taking it off. I don't care, literally. And then there's this one woman asking me, "Do you ever have like a boyfriend or something?" I was like, "No, I never been in a relationship." Really? You look like somebody that will have a fucking boyfriend. Yeah, that's someone trying to paint at me again. I'm sure 100%. I don't know. Maybe I look like a whore, right? That's what you tell me about. But I really never been in a fucking relationship before. And what are you gonna tell me about it? That's how you need to shut up. You have no right to measure somebody value or whatever. You are also human. We all bleed the same rats. You have imperfectness, I have, and I respect that if you respect that. You know what I mean? So I'm very um okay. I'm very observing, so I know kind of layer between somebody's question. So she questions like whether am I have a girlfriend, have a boyfriend or no, and then she told me like, oh my god, you look like somebody that have a boyfriend and tons of exes. What are you trying to tell? Sorry, what are you trying to tell me here? That I look like a whore? Do I need to dress like you in order for me to prove my value? No. It's so childish of you saying that. It just says so much about you than me. Because you are very, I don't know, there's a gap that you cannot understand. You cannot, you are seeing something in a bubble, not from the outside, or trying to looking for another perspective. And I hate that. Ew. And then there's also somebody because I was like drawing on my foot, right, with like a pen or something, and then she said like this, "Oh my god, if you do that, your praise not gonna be accepted." And I was like, "Isn't that God's job to like if it accepted or not? Is it your business? If my prayers doesn't accepted by God, like I don't think that's your business." And she said, "Yeah, yeah, true, true." And she's the one that I'm very vocal about, like, "Yeah, I don't judge people. I really don't." And then say like that after to me. So yeah, just found it really annoying, and I don't value that as a human being. I'm very disappointed on that one on human because I don't like it. And I cut off most of my high school friend because I feel like I got judgment a lot. Somebody says I don't have the dignity because I was like riding a motorbike with one of the guys. We just like what the fuck. And then I cut them off and I never hanging out with them anymore. Now you beg me to do it. You say that I don't have a dignity, so why are you doing this? So I mean, yeah, but and yeah, they just said a lot of bad thing about me. They thought I'm stupid. They thought that I don't know. I'm just basically a whore in their eyes. So what about everybody? But you know what? I love cutting off people. So that one of my biggest pet peeve, and when somebody misunderstand you, religiously, or like to try to measure their value based on like what you do and what you, I don't know what how to name it, but that's the kind of misunderstanding that I discuss the most. Goodbye. What else? I don't know.